Hey guys, what's up? This is Mike again. I'm back with part 3, I believe, of my Spider Island review. So I'm going to be reviewing issue 669 and 670. Interesting covers for this two issues. So starting with 669, excuse me. Uh, we start off with the typical Marvel backstory about what's been happening, and then we resume with Carly and Peter. They're in ESU, where Dr. Miles Warren, aka the Jackal, used to work, and they get ambushed by Scorcher, Chance, and White Rabbit, supervillains, beatless supervillains, to be honest, in my opinion. Carly's super excited that that they're getting to fight supervillains, and Peter's like, she's in over her head. He knows it. She tells her to run. She doesn't want to, so they just start fighting. He notices that she's out of her class, but more so than that is that these villains have spider powers. That they are way out of her class. They're using spider sense to dodge their attacks, and Peter decides to save the day. He busts out his kung fu way of the spider, or spider flu as he dubs it, and he puts these villains down for the count. Carly is just like, wow, where'd you learn that? Peter really doesn't have a good excuse, and she decides that she wants to meet him, Spider-Man, and Spider-Man at the same time at the police precinct. Peter's just like, facepalm, I really don't know what to do now. Then we see the Jackal. He's been spying. He has cameras in there. He's spying on Peter. He's just like, wow, look, what's Peter gonna do now? He knows Peter's Spider-Man. He also commented how this girl isn't much of a girlfriend. She's no Gwen Stacy, which is a little creepy. But after that, we go on to he decides, he's like, eventually, stage 2 of their plan is gonna progress, like, and it's like going to get exciting. And then we see Venom, who's Slash Thompson, who is Venom, fighting the Spider King in the Catskills. The Spider King has released tiny spider embryos that are gonna spread the virus throughout America if they don't stop them. We then move on to Horizon Labs, or right before Horizon Labs, we see not Peter, Mary Jane. She's walking around. She notices that everyone has spider powers. She doesn't know what to do. She's like, really? And Horizon Lab announces they've created a vaccine to prevent the spread of the virus. Like, if you get inoculated, you won't get the power, but they don't have a cure. Jonah, who's at Horizon Labs, discovers that he's trying to figure out what's happening. Reed Richards, they deduce a way to stop the virus from spreading. Not only that, well, first they have the Avengers guarding every exit throughout the city, so keeping the normals out and the spiders in. We got Luke Cage. We are shown Luke Cage, Red Hulk, and Iron Man just about to lay the beat down on people with spider powers if they try to cross the line. At Horizon Labs, they decide to create spider towers, which will create a psychic barrier around the city, preventing any spider-infected people from leaving because it jams their spider sense. And this is the invention that Peter actually invented that took away his spider sense back in, I believe, issue 670 something, I believe, 671-ish, or somewhere around there somewhere. Regardless, Reed Richards discovers that, he's figured out what caused the virus. It was bed bugs, genetically altered bed bugs. They have all died out, but the problem is that the virus is airborne, and it only affects normal people. If you have powers already, you're safe. So they decide, which I think is a big morality question, to give their vaccine is essentially giving people superpowers. They create a low-level magnetic compass power. Basically, people can see which way's north, tell which way's north all the time. And he's like, oh, that's the easiest power, Why are you guys complaining that, oh, you live in New York, it's not a big deal. So they start scanning people. We find out Jonah has powers. He's freaking out. He doesn't want powers. We move on to, I believe, Eddie Brock. He's running around the city. He's healing everyone in sight. And from there we go to the police department. We see Peter. Carly goes to the roof. She sees Spider-Man. Where's Peter? Peter's gone. Spider-Man makes excuses, and Carly's just like, "Sure you are." They get a phone call that there's a bank robbery. When they go there, it's a shocker, and he's mutated. He has 6 arms, and he's blasting everything. He needs the money, and he's concerned like this isn't normal. He needs the money. He desperately needs the money, and he removes his mask and shows that he has mutated into part spider. And at the same time, Madam Web is she has lost all sense of, like, she is connected to what she calls the web of life, which is essentially the fate of all people with spider powers, and that's what she sees. That's the future she sees for them. But there's too many people, and she can't see the future. She is overloaded. So when we go back to the precinct, not the precinct, the bank, we see the Shocker freaking out over his face. He needs help. He's begging Spider-Man for help. And we see the big bad, and she forces all the people with spider powers to start mutating. And when we see her, it's the Queen. And for those of you who don't know who the Queen is, I'm going to talk about her in the next issue. They do a big recap about her existence. So that's where this issue ends. Oh, my water fell. Story-wise, the issue is good. Dan Slott's tying up a lot of the details. He's also involving some of the tie-ins. Then this one he brought up Venom, which also had a big Fire Island factor. However, story-wise, this issue does suffer the major flaw or problem in arcs that this is the middle issue, so it starts dragging on. I'm not saying it's not good, but it just starts getting less. It just gets, starts like not getting. It's not exciting, but I don't know how to phrase it. It just starts being just average instead of great. But there's some parts of the book that stand out than other parts. As I said, one was Reed Richards' morality thing with giving people superpowers, which I thought was like, if he's like, we're really just gonna genetically alter people right now. This is a big deal that supervillains do. Parts that I did like were the Peter, using his spider kung fu. He doesn't really use it. Like, he's never used it until now, and this is the first time he's using it in actual combat, and he just whoops up on everyone. And I love the way Humberto Ramos draws Peter as Peter. He's very thin, and when he fights either as Peter or Spider-Man, because he's doing both, he moves around a lot. He bouncing off walls, very zany. His style works well for this kind of arc. Things I didn't like, Carly's weird, like, obsession with trying to get Peter and Spider-Man together. I know, like, they, she's using her deductive abilities to gain, like, knowledge as, like, what's wrong, Peter. She's getting too close to Peter. I felt that took up a lot of the issue that could have been done with a better explanation of who the Queen was, because you just show her face. But they're just in the next issue, so it's not a big deal. So for this issue, I'm gonna give it a 3.5 out of 5. It's suffering it's not as good as the last issues were, and that's just the flaw that the middle issues of arcs face. I'm not saying it's not bad. It's just it's just getting okay. So I'm gonna be doing 670 now. So with 670, we start off with I believe the other than the normal splash page, it starts off with Horizon Labs. They start finding out that everyone is mutating into spiders. At Daily Bugle, people are mutating. At the Avengers Mansion, Hawkeye has turned into a spider. Mary Jane, who's in the park, in Riverside Park, by herself, everyone's turning into a spider around her, but she can't do anything. Like, everyone's like, why don't you do something? She's like, I'm the only one in the city who doesn't have powers. And then we move on to see Peter, and he's with Carly in the shocker. Everyone around him is turned into spiders, and he loses track of Carly, and he doesn't know what to do. He falls to his knees. He's like, "I'm sorry. He feels like this is his fault. He couldn't save her." We then move on to the Queen, and she is in Central Park with the Jackal, Tarantula, who is Kane, and clones of the Jackal, and all these spiders come to her. She has a psychic link with them, and we get a brief backstory, how she was a soldier, and she was turned into a super soldier with abilities that rival both Spider-Man and Captain America put together. She has psychic abilities that she could contact these spiders, and not only that, she has a sonic scream. And she ambushes Steve Rogers in Central Park, and she ambushes him and defeats him, and she calls him her perfect consort. So that gives you an idea of what happened to Steve Rogers, because we haven't seen him yet, and we see the Spider King enter the scene. So consort, king, sort of. For those who might have seen it, those who might have not seen it. So when we see the Spider King, we realize it's not actually the Spider King. It's actually Flash Thompson disguised as the Spider King using the Venom symbiote. And when they decide, the Jackal and the Queen, their plans are going along well. There is no cure. What can go wrong? We see Eddie Brock as Anti-Venom at his church, the Lady of Saint's church, curing as many people as he can who are coming to him because they are mutating into spiders. Not only that, after we pass Eddie Brock, we leave. We see all the defenders of the city. For example, the X-Men, who are at Battery Park, defending a tower from the spiders. And Emma Frost is just like, she's not alright. Like, why do we have to save the humans once again when they hate us? Why don't we leave them to their fate? This is what they deserve for being who they are. And then we go on to Horizon Labs, and Jonah is freaking out. He calls Mr. Fantastic useless, decides to take matters into his own hands, and heads to the emergency control center. We then see Peter. He is fighting spiders, trying to get Madam Web to help. She's freaking out that she can't see the future, and disappears. And then Jonah gets attacked by giant spiders, and this is a flashback for some of his employees of an event that happened earlier in Dan's run, where they were attacked and his wife, Marla Jameson, is killed. Peter and Jonah team up, and they decide to fight the spiders because Jonah refuses to be saved by Peter or Spider-Man once again. He hates Spider-Man with a passion. And the Queen senses that Jonah has turned, and she has plans for him. We then the Queen finds out that people are being cured. She sends Spider King, who is Venom, to go to Anti-Venom, and Venom decides to grab Anti-Venom and bring him to Horizon Labs. And at Horizon Labs, Reed Richards finds out that these people at Project Rebirth are sending him a possible cure. We go back to Jameson and Spidey, who are at the detention center, and we see them that they're talking to Alistair Smythe, who, for some of you who don't know, he's the creator of the Spider Slayers. And Jameson is willing to deal with him too. He wants a cure. He wants to fix the city. And Smythe knows the way to cure the people. But before they can figure it out, Jameson gets transformed by Spider Queen into a monster, and he attacks Smythe and rips out his throat. That's where the issue ends. We also find out right before the issue ends that Anti-Venom is delivered to Horizon Labs after a battle where Eddie Brock mutated, or his symbiote reacted to Eddie Brock and tried to kill Eddie Brock. Um, so in this issue again, once again, it isn't as good as the beginning issues of Spider Island, just because I just felt that even though Dan Slott is a great writer, it's just dragging on. I feel a little bit with like a lot of things are happening, and sometimes it's overwhelming for like even when I'm reviewing this, like I had to reread this like 3 or 4 times, and still I'm probably missing details a little bit because like there's a lot of information packed into this, and not only that, if you don't read the Spider Island tie-ins, you sort of get lost in some of it. Mainly Venom. Venom's important Spider Island tie-in, and I think like if you don't read that, you'll get lost a little bit. Dan Slott does a great way of tying it in together, but I mean, just reading Spider Island by itself is great. You'll follow the story along, fine, but the tie-ins help solidify things a little bit better. And I wish that this issue is just so much information, like to absorb, like so many things are happening. There's a cure, psychic barrier, things like that. But I mean, it's an excellent issue story-wise. Like Dan Slott focuses a lot on what he's doing. Even though he's bringing so many things together, like details, and trying to tie it into one, like conclusive like story. Art-wise, things has been changed. Humberto Ramos' art is amazing. It's very, like as I said before, it's perfect for this arc or this type of story where there's just zany Peter fighting people. Is just like he's moving around, he's bouncing off things, he's punching things in the face. And when he's with Jonah, I like the way, Humberto Ramos draws them interacting, so you can see the hostility on Jonah's face, just like having to work with Spider-Man. And through Dan, you get to see, how entertained Peter is that Jonah has spider powers. He's like, this is funny. Like, you have given me shit all these years, but look, you have powers now. It's pretty funny. So I'm gonna give this issue again, like I did the last issue at 3.5. It's good. I just wish that there wasn't so much. Like, I love how Dan tries to give us as much detail and story as possible, but it's just so much, and it's a little overwhelming. So that's it. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm gonna be finishing the review this week. Also, in 2 days is New Comic Book Day, so I'll be trying to get that done as well. Leave a comment. I might re-record this video. I'm gonna put it on YouTube and upload it, and if I don't like it, I'm gonna redo it. But thanks for watching. Enjoy whatever books you're reading right now, and have a great time.